Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is February the 18th, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Been a cold one, but overall a good one. Feel like I came in with a bit of a chip on my shoulder from last night, but overall the day was good. Gym went well, so we love that. Let's see here. Food corner from last night, Mexican beef and rice bowl, classic. So yeah, overall, it's been a good day. We're in good spirits. Let me go ahead and do my startup and we'll get into some news. We have a lot to cover today, so I'll try to march along as promptly as I can. All right. First story is from the Associated Press. Argentine lawyers accuse President Milei of fraud over cryptocurrency promotion. Argentine lawyers filed fraud complaints against President Javier Milei in criminal court on Sunday for promoting a cryptocurrency on his social media, one of the lawyers said, or one of the lawyers told the Associated Press. On Friday, Milei posted on X about Libra, with a dollar sign, a coin that he said was aimed at encouraging economic growth by funding small businesses and startups. He deleted the post a few hours later, and the value of the currency collapsed, causing millions of dollars in losses to its brief investors, according to financial site DexScreener. The coin, developed by KIP or KIP protocol and Hayden Davis, could be obtained by accessing a link that directed users to a website called vivalalibertadproject.com, referring to the well-known phrase which Milei closes speeches and messages on his social media. The president's office said in a Saturday statement that Milei was not involved in any stage of the cryptocurrency development and decided to remove the post to avoid speculation and limit further exposure, following the public reaction to the project's launch. Now, he's also added, or people have added for him, that essentially it's like, yeah, I go on all the time and promote things for Argentina. Like, this is a very common thing. This isn't abnormal what I've done here. And then I saw that there was an issue, so I deleted it. But this is pound for pound a crypto. It's a rug pull. So it's the same thing that we talked about with, Hawk Tool on that thing, Haley Welch. It's the same thing, pretty much bar for bar. I think it's crazier to me because you don't have this, influencer celebrity. A lot of people of this ilk in, kind of, pay range, you could say, class, go for that kind of, say, hey, this is how we level up. This is how we make a little bit of money. And you can kind of plead ignorance, which a lot of people are giving her slack for, which I'm not really. I think she was well aware enough. That's a whole other issue. It's crazy that you're the president of a country and it's like, yeah, nah, it's cool. I can do this. We can run this. No problem. Let's make a little quick buck. Like, no, Kroger brand Wolverine, you can't do that. Like, that's not okay. So I'm glad that lawyers are, more or less trying to come up with a case here. We'll definitely see how that goes. I will keep you posted. Speaking of things I'm keeping you posted on, let's go ahead and move along to New York City. We got to talk about Eric Adams. A little bit of extra shake-up here from NBC4 New York. Four NYC deputy mayors resigned from Adams' administration amid growing city hall turmoil. Four New York City deputy mayors from the Adams administration have confirmed their resignations Monday because they could not fulfill their oath of office as they are being asked by they're being asked by Mayor Eric Adams not to criticize President Donald Trump's administration on policies that conflict with their work, according to sources familiar with the matter. So it looks like Eric Adams is already succeeded, like he's giving into the pressure. He's essentially saying, "Hey, you cannot talk about Trump like you think you should be able to. Sorry, you just can't. Zip it." And it's like, no, we're not gonna abide by that. NBC New York broke the news Sunday that Adams met over the weekend with at least 3 deputy mayors who have expressed their intention to resign from his administration. Maria Torres Springer, Ann Williams Issam, Mir Joshi, and Chauncey Parker are extraordinary public servants who have been vital to our work reshaping New York City, the mayor's office said in a statement on Monday. Now, this is an important add-on here. Governor Kathy Hochul released a statement Monday expressing concern that the 4 deputy mayors felt they could not continue in the administration. Hochul said she planned to meet with key leaders on Tuesday in Manhattan to discuss the path forward. So essentially, there's hints here that maybe she might be talking about firing Eric Adams, or terminating him from mayor. We'll see how that goes. This was something that was floated when the, indictment and all that shit started, and nothing came of it. He was still mayor. He was determined to, run New York, be mayor, and also fight his case. And then he got off, by doing his whole little glaze session for Donald Trump. It's crazy that this works for him. And it's crazy that this is happening just right in front of us. Essentially, from on high, from the Trump administration, you see, hey, I'm going to play ball. New York's yours, baby. And, is Hochul going to let this happen? I don't know. I kind of think she will. There's another chance that, the charges don't get dropped because of the judge. We'll see. I don't know, though. So, once again, there's definitely, more coming out of this. I didn't expect more people to quit post this, but it makes sense because essentially you can't abide by this. You're a part of his administration here. And it's look, I have a conscience, because this is the local shit. These are the people who are, hey, I am the closest to the people on the ground here. The things I say and enforce, and put into play here, I don't want to be a part of it if I don't think it's right. And these are people who are saying, no, I'm not okay with this. I don't want to support this, so I'm off it. So I will give, them credit for that. But yeah, we'll see how this turns out, man. Wild shit. Speaking of wild shit, from ABC News, measles cases are rising in U.S. as Texas outbreak grows. Should we be concerned? Good question, ABC News. Good question. Measles is continuing to spread across the United States as an outbreak in Texas rapidly grows and cases are confirmed in nearby states, according to health officials. In Western Texas, a measles outbreak doubled from 24 confirmed cases on Tuesday to 48 cases on Friday, according to the Department of State Health Services, or DSHS. This marks the largest measles outbreak in the state in more than 30 years, according to a DSHS spokesperson. All of the cases are in unvaccinated individuals or individuals whose vaccination status is unknown, and 13 people have been hospitalized so far. Gaines County is the epicenter of the outbreak, with 42 cases confirmed among residents, according to DSHS. Meanwhile, in neighboring New Mexico, 3 unrelated cases of measles were confirmed last week in Lea County, which borders Gaines County, according to New Mexico Department of Health, or the NMDOH. It's a lot of letters. While a connection to the Texas outbreak is suspected, it remains unconfirmed, according to a news release from the NMDOH. The CDC has separately confirmed 14 cases in 5 states so far this year, which does not include recent Texas or New Mexico cases. Public health experts who work in the field of infectious diseases told ABC News they're concerned about the rise in cases that could lead to a far bigger outbreak among those who are unvaccinated or undervaccinated. So this has been like a growing movement. I think it definitely hit a whole other stratosphere in 2020 when you had, people like RFK Jr., definitely cresting this whole fucking wave and boosting it. You had Joe Rogan. You had so many motherfucking people to, look at and say, hey, maybe I shouldn't take this. Maybe I shouldn't do it. And not just COVID vaccine, but like all kinds of vaccine. And I remember like talking to a friend and having this conversation. They had recently had a child and they were talking so plainly, just being like, and I mean, maybe not so plainly. I think they kind of understood that it's like, hey, I know I'm kind of being a little crazy here, but like, I just don't know what, they're putting into my kid. It's like, dude, and I'm thinking to myself, the same thing they put into you, dude, like, or in me. Like, we are both people who have vaccines. Like, we've gotten vaccines. We have turned out completely fine. Like, why are we having this conversation? Why are you on this line of thought? And I am immediately thinking, well, I mean, it's not me. It's not mine. It's not my child, because my kid would get a fucking... They're getting all the shit I got. Give them the zoop, 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 zoop. Like, soup them up. Like, what are we talking about here? These are things that are fighting things that you shouldn't have to fight anymore. Like, we shouldn't be having a conversation about measles. Or like, like, I thought shit like that was, like, in the age of polio. Especially when we're talking America, that just shouldn't happen. But the idea of like, I don't know what I'm putting into my child as you eat like a Big Mac or whatever the fucking food, like you have no real qualm about this, but you maybe went online, did some like, did your own research. And now you found someone who's going to sell you whatever narrative that you wanted to hear, which is like, okay, don't take it. Don't do it. Actually, it's not just a nothing burger. It's actually, this is something that's harming you. You actually have natural immunity. Like, take your pick. There's so many people selling this bullshit. And you're just going to say, hey, no, I'm not going to take this tried and true thing. And that's crazy to me. That's wild to me. Once again, I will say this once. I'll say it 1,000 times this podcast. I used to love a good conspiracy. It used to be so fun and engaging to like sit with your friends and chop it up. And every once in a while, I still find those niches and things. And you can really get into it and really chop it up. And it's like, hey, this doesn't feel crazy. This doesn't feel like we're having the weirdest like circle jerk here and we're doing something bad. Like, you know what I mean? I'm glad that like there are still conspiracy theories out there that make sense, but the idea that you're putting poison into yourself and like, or you have, and you never want to do that again, and you never want that for your kids. That's so scary to me, because you're potentially subjecting your kid to so many things like measles, dude. And a story I want to just kind of segue to, from The Independent. And I just want to touch on the headline here. J.D. Vance's relative, 12 years old, refused heart transplant over vaccine status. A relative of Vice President J.D. Vance says an Ohio hospital has refused to put her 12-year-old daughter on its heart transplant waiting list over her vaccine status. Now, this is a whole thing. I do want to shout out Cincinnati Children's Hospital for what I think doing the right thing. Like, you essentially can't, like, you cannot say, like, this person doesn't have vaccines. Like, you need that to have, like, to have a healthy body. Like, I'm not being crazy for saying that. Like, that's crazy. And essentially, I know the mom is, like, trying to, like, do a pressure campaign on the hospital to, like, turn things around and accept their daughter, who was adopted, Adeline from China, 4 years old. She has a Epstein's anomaly and Wolff's Parkinson's White syndrome. And so, yeah, one day she's going to need a heart transplant. And essentially they're like, yeah, we can't put you on the list because you don't have, you don't have the vaccines. She doesn't have vaccines. We can't do anything here. And this has made a lot of headlines just because obviously the tie to J.D. Vance or whatever. But it's just really just upsetting that that's the narrative that more and more people seem to be subscribing to. And I guess because you have You have Trump and you have the hillbilly elegy man himself, and it's like, yeah, this almost like for some people confirms it for them. And I really just implore you that it shouldn't. It really shouldn't. Like I'm not gonna lie to you, this is the kind of thing that like stun locks me because this is like the flat earth shit to me. Like I think about that from time to time that was such a fucking trend, and I gave up friendships for that. I'm not even gonna lie. I stopped listening to B.O.B. because it's like, bro, you can't be this way. Like, your logic here is so obtuse and does not make any fucking sense. Like, they had to take you to space and you're still fighting the fucking conversation. My nigga, I'm tired. I'm so tired. I can't fight these fights with people. So, like, that's why I was quiet, you know. So I'm real with y'all. I don't fight the fights. I don't do the arguments. I'm not trying to do a great debate. I'm not Denzel Washington. I'm too old for that shit. So yeah, if that's your path, you walk that shit. But I ain't walking it with you. I don't want to be guilty by association with you on that. Like I'm cool on that. So not mine. Anyway, let me take another water break. I'm yapping it out, but I knew I had to get into that. I'll tell you. Shout out to Ohio. Ohio is a crazy place. And I say that knowing that Ohio is not like any unique pearl in America. Let's be real. You know, we're still second to Florida, man. That's a fact. That's a fucking fact. Which I didn't do this on purpose. We were about to talk about a Florida man. We're about to talk about a few. Well, no, we were talking about a Florida man and a couple of tourists and a crazy fucking. Maybe you would think funny story if you could just take out the Islamophobia, but it's hard. Living in America. All right, from The Guardian. Jewish man mistakes two Israeli tourists for Palestinians and opens fire on them in Miami. A Jewish man in Miami Beach is facing charges of attempted murder following accusations that he opened fire on two men he believed were Palestinians, but reportedly turned out to be Israeli visitors. According to arrest documents, at 9:30 p.m. on Saturday, surveillance video appeared to show Mordecai Brafman, 27, getting out of his truck and opening fire with a semi-automatic handgun at a vehicle as it passed. Brafman allegedly fired 17 times, striking one victim in the left shoulder and grazing the other's left forearm. While in custody, Brafman spontaneously told detectives that while he was driving his truck, he saw two Palestinians and shot and killed both, arrest documents said. That's crazy that he just was happy, gleeful almost, it seems, to offer up that information. And yeah, that's him in the fucking thumbnail. And does this look like a guy who seems any kind of remorseful about what he did? No, he seems very stoked that he did what he did. I feel like that's important to note. Law enforcement officials did not confirm if the victims were in fact Palestinians, and the Miami Herald reported that they were actually two vacationing Israelis, naming them as Ari Rabbi and his father. Now, this is where we get into an important part here, because we go to the people who were shot, the victims. Further complicating the incident, one of the injured men reportedly posted "Death to the Arabs" in a message on social media after the shooting. My father and I went through a murder attempt against anti-Semitic background. And it's like, no, my friend. That person thought you were Palestinian, which actually you weren't. You guys both are being just Islamophobic. Like, you guys are both just hating Palestinians. It's just hate here, and it's all for the wrong fucking reasons and not doing anything. Important part, I want to leave it on because it's definitely going to say it better than I am. The Council on American Islamic Relations Florida chapter has called for federal hate crime charges in the shooting. It is deeply ironic and telling that both the alleged pro-Israel perpetrator and the pro-Israel victim in the Miami Beach shooting reportedly hold racist, anti-Palestinian views, said CAIR's National Executive Director Nahad Awad on X. This is just the latest example of the hate targeting the Palestinian American community in this country and Palestinians in their homeland. Policymakers in our nation should stop fomenting the anti Palestinian hate that led to the genocide in Gaza and to the hate crimes in America. So, yeah, obviously, this is a really sad, fucked up story. Um, who knows? It's so Florida, so I don't know how it's really going to resolve. You would hope that some logic would fucking prevail in this common sense country of mine, but yeah, we'll see. I'll keep you posted on anything though that I hear from that. But yeah, from Today News, let's talk about recalls. Let's close out with some recalls. I've been sitting on these for a few days. Unfortunately, I know I came late. Hopefully, you didn't eat any of these things or consumed any of these things. Granola bar recall. FDA updates recall for over 2 million made good granola bars. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, has made an update to its made good granola bar recall. The popular granola bars sold on Amazon and in stores like Target, Whole Foods, Wegmans, CVS, among others, were voluntarily recalled in December due to possible metal contamination. We got another metal situation. Metal in the food. Not our first time. On February 11th, the FDA classified the recall as Class 2 per the FDA. A Class 2 classification is given if a product may cause temporary or medically reversible adverse health consequences or where the probability of serious adverse health consequences is remote. The recall included over 2 million total cases of made good granola bars, including flavors like chocolate chip, cookies and cream, and mixed berry, among others. Typical recall situation protocol. So if you go back to your store, you can return it. You can dispose of it. Just throw it out. Obviously, don't eat it. This isn't like a Super Smash situation. You won't become like a metal version of yourself. That would be pretty cool. Clink, 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 clink. But no, you'll hurt yourself, and that would be good. That would not be good, my dear listener. So don't do it. Throw it away. Resist the urge. Do good and return it, and they're slam dunking in the trash. Hopefully, you get your money back, man. I always like now that I see so many of these recalls, like I'm always like paranoid. I'm like, when's it gonna be my time? And I'm gonna see the Kroger bag of chicken that I got or my BB Go. Like, when is it gonna be then? When is it mine? Hopefully never. That's me knocking on the wood. All right, let's close out. We have one more thing to cover. I feel like I've yapped way too much. Also, it's late and I'm hungry. I'm hungies. I shouldn't say hungies. I'm 34 years old. I can't say eepy. I can't say hungies. That's not okay. I'm doing 1,000-year stare right now as I close out. Let's take our last break. All right. From the TCD, Coca-Cola issues urgent recall over chemical contamination. Here's what you need to know. Coca-Cola is scrambling to pull some of its products from shelves after discovering that they may be contaminated. While the potential contamination does not seem to pose a serious threat to public health, it makes it even harder to trust big corporations with our safety. Coca-Cola recently detected abnormally high levels of chlorate in bottles and cans from its production plant in Belgium. According to a report from the Associated Press, now soft drinks from the plant are being pulled from shelves in the Netherlands, Luxembourg, and Belgium. Coca-Cola also contacted officials in Great Britain, France, and Germany as they may have received contaminated products. The contamination has been tracked to a single water treatment container at the production plant in Belgium. This is good news, as it provides a clear way to track potentially contaminated products and pull them as quickly as possible. So that's good. It can cause vomiting, serious illnesses, or thyroid issues in children. But that's at like high levels. That's definitely important to mention. You would have to drink a lot of Coca-Cola in one sitting and it have it in it, like this chlorate situation. So most likely, you're gonna be okay. They're just scrambling to get it off the shelves so that no one you know ingests this and gets hurt. Let's see here, but I mean, obviously that comes without saying that right, they're doing the recall. No, anyway, I did want to close out though because they kind of bury it here. Coca-Cola is far from the only company issuing recalls for contaminated products. East West Tea Company recently recalled nearly 900,000 tea bags containing higher than usual levels of pesticides. Ew. According to Master Control, recalls have risen 115% since 2018. So I was glad that I read that and I wanted to mention that on the pod because I'm like, am I crazy? Like, has there always just been this many recalls and I'm just like new to the game and just got to get used to the flow? And it's like, yes and no, because I started podcasting around 2021. So this had already been a thing. But like, yeah, back when I was younger, not to say that recalls maybe shouldn't have been happening. Also, a podcast that I've been getting back into and I want to plug again is Swindled. Swindled. It's very good. Talks about just any kind of scammers, from like the individual level to like the corporate level. And I mention that because they had like an episode that I was listening to again or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, like this is a reminder that like these recalls do fucking matter. And it's good that you have these government agencies that are at least holding at least some kind of account, maybe not a bunch, maybe they definitely need to do more. But at least, hey, let's like spread awareness. You gotta fucking bring this shit back. It's got metal in it, or it's got fucking chlorine in it, or whatever the fuck. It's got listeria going on, whatever. So, but anyway, let's not enter the Trumpverse. We've done pretty good. We technically had to mention JD Vance, and that was enough. So yeah, we'll close it out there. If you would like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. That's a free action. You can follow on TikTok. You can follow me on Spotify. Do all of that. Whatever. Hit the like button. Leave a cool comment. Sharing's caring. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.